Now, what Chud the Builder is doing, the reason that I compare him to Rosa Parks, is he is pushing boundaries.
Now, you're just trolling people. You know that's ridiculous.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
It's absolutely ridiculous. She was resisting a racial apartheid in America.
And that's what Brad's doing.
Brad? I'm Brad.
Sorry, Chud, sorry. American names throw me off. We don't get a lot of those around here. That's what Chud was doing. Now, look,
I'm sorry. So he's resisting a non-existent racial apartheid against white people in America by going around calling random black people monkeys and chimps and calling them the N-word.
If you believe there is the double standard is non-existent, then I can understand why you'd think that. But I do.
Okay, but it's not freaking Rosa Parks civil rights era. Even if you think there was some systemic bias against white people in the criminal justice system, which I actually think data indicates the opposite. But even if I granted you that, you can't actually seriously suggest it's remotely comparable to a system of Jim Crow segregation we had here in America with separate drinking fountains, sitting at the back of the bus. Literally, you can't have this job. You can't work here, you can't go to this school. You're seriously making a comparison there, not ironically.
No, this is not ironic. I would rather have to drink out of a separate water fountain than have a family member attacked and then see that person walk free because some liberal judge has decided, but there's too many black men in jail and therefore they don't need to be treated the same. And the comparison with Rosa Parks, I am 100% serious about that. Rosa Parks was put up to it. She was an agitator. This was a prearranged
she was an
stunt.
activist.
Yeah, and she went out and she did it to provoke people.
Well, now, to protest a system of racial apartheid against black people, which is a noble cause.
Yes, fine. Yeah, fine.
That's what activists do. They initiate situations they can then legally and socially challenge.
I tell you what, at the time, if there were podcasts there would have been people saying that why was she provoking people? Why did she do that? It's because she was making a point. This is what Chud is doing. He's going out
by calling people slurs on the street and monetizing it.
So, do you think black people don't use those slurs?
I think they do. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think? And so, I mean, I
don't think that's comparable to white people calling black people racial slurs. Them using it for each other. No.
So it's fundamentally different, is it?
Yes. Yeah. The meaning of and significance of words is different based on context and social relations. Yes.
Now, look, I don't go around saying that because I'm generally quite a polite guy. But
so you did say you might if somebody's in your parking spot or in a disabled parking spot.
Well, I don't know if I'd go there, but the point is, I would call people out, and I do call out people if I see them misbehaving, if I see them doing something they don't do. Now, like I say, I'm from a white area, so it doesn't particularly come up for an issue around here. But yeah, I call people out if their behaviour is out of line. And the videos I've seen of Chud, that's what he's doing, and then they become very aggressive, and they, to his phrase, they chimp out.
That's a racist phrase, though. They just say they're angry. Why are you making it a chimp thing? That's just intentionally racially inflammatory.
Well, I'm not saying that.
Come on. Say it with your chest. You are saying it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, okay. I'm not going to get mad at you. It's just the truth. Yeah. But don't hide behind the I'm just quoting him. You clearly are echoing him.
It's not a phrase I naturally reach for, but I mean, whatever. I mean, as long as it's descriptive to the point. But, there is a behavioural standard. There is a massive, and your point earlier, you talked about the you push back on my idea that whites are treated differently in the legal system. Well, and you pointed to actually no, it's the other way around. That's because of criminality. That's because of a propensity to criminality.
Well, and even when white and black people,
but it is true.
Even when white and black people are charged with similar crimes or the same crime, there's disproportionate sentencing and criminal justice outcomes in a way that is worse for black people. In the U.S. criminal justice system, I really can't speak to the U.K., to be clear. I'm familiar with the U.S. system of criminal justice, and there is ample evidence. You can debate the scope of it for sure, and I think it's often overblown by progressives who want to claim America as like an evil, dystopianly racist society. But there is some evidence for sure supporting the idea that, if anything, the U.S. criminal justice system treats black people disproportionately worse. There's really no statistical evidence that white people get harsher sentences for the same crime or anything like that. That doesn't exist.
Well, look, I can't speak to the rest of those statistics or the people who compile them because quite often this is very agenda-driven and it's incredibly easy to manipulate statistics. All I can tell you is that every day I see examples of and you might say is anecdote, but no, it's pattern recognition.
It's an echo chamber. You're on Twitter and you see the same videos because you engage with them when you see them. A black person behaving badly, like, share, repost on my podcast. So of course it shows you more than that. That doesn't tell you any statistical reality about the world.
All I can tell you, look, I've been podcasting for about 4 or 5 years now, and it is our job to engage with these stories as they come up. And every day for those 5 years, I've been seeing example after example, and I am noticing a pattern. Now, you can say, okay, well, this left wing organization has produced these statistics, and they say something else. But I'm just telling you, I see a pattern here.
Okay. A couple final things I want to get your thoughts on real quick, kind of rapid fire.
Sure.
If your mom parks in the disabled parking spot at the grocery store because she's just being lazy and I see her behaving badly, I can call her a fat and that's fine.
No, I don't really think that is fine. But look, my mother's.
But earlier you said
so,
that was justification for calling black people the N-word.
No. The cases I'm talking about is when you get some 20-year-old kid turn up and he bounces out of it with his baseball cap on backwards. He's clearly not disabled.
How does the direction of the baseball cap matter? Whether you can call someone the N-word?
I don't know what you're driving at there, Brad, but no, look, if people are behaving, look, the issue with our countries is that poor behavior is not called out, and it should be.
I don't agree, but I think it's poor behavior to antagonize people.
Society.
And call them slurs. To monetize it for rage bait.
Look, the videos I've seen of him, that is not what's happening. He calls
Which you
out
admit is not that much.
and then they get up in his face, they get aggressive, and actually most of the time they're using that word that you don't like before he does.
Okay, that's not the same. So let me put this in context, right? I'm a gay person, which is obviously not relevant to this conversation. Another one of my good friends who I make content with is also gay. If we jokingly call each other that is obviously very different than if a person corners me in the street when I'm with my husband or boyfriend and starts screaming at me I'm a disgusting. You understand the context and the in-group, out-group does make the word use different, and that's not some like double standard. It's just how language works.
Screaming anything at anybody in the street is not a particularly good idea. But to give the example, if you were behaving poorly in public and somebody had a confrontation with you, and you got up in their face and you're getting aggressive and you're screaming, and you start screaming that at them and they scream it back to you. I mean, this is an argument. No, look, I mean, let's go back to the Rosa Parks thing. She went out in order to provoke a reaction to highlight a difference in the system. Yes. Chud has done the same thing. I looked into this. There are apparently 10 statues of Rosa Parks across the US. I think there should be 10 of Chud.
Good grief. All right. Well, I'll just be honest. I think you're just doing a contrarian bit. I think you're just being edgy.
I'm really not. You're
just being antagonistic, and that's fine because you know what? Whether it's Chud saying slurs, I'm not going to support him shooting people, probably, in my view, indefensibly, but I will support his free speech right to be an asshole, Brad, and I will support yours to be a contrarian.
If somebody is attacking you, if somebody has jumped on you and is punching you, if that is indeed what happened, okay?
It's not, there's just no proof of that.
There's no proof of that. We don't know exactly what happened, but if somebody jumps on you and starts punching you, do you have the right to defend yourself?
Absolutely. But we have no reason to believe that's what happened.
We have no reason to not believe that that's what happened, but neither of you and I were there, so let's find out.
All right. Well, I do appreciate the spirited conversation. Thank you for joining me.
Enjoyed it, Brad.
I enjoyed it as well. Thanks so much.